Anti-homeless architecture goes by many names: defensive architecture, hostile design, exclusionary design, and much more. But no matter what you call it, anti-homeless architecture is meant to do one thing: displace homeless people who are trying to look for a safe and warm place to sleep. The design pushes homeless people from covered areas and areas that can be considered more comfortable in public. But it does not address or solve the homeless problem. I have worked with the homeless population for the last 5 years, and never once have I had somebody say that these anti-homeless architectures have benefited them in any way. I want to look at why these designs are used and what can be done in our communities instead. So, why are these types of architectures made and placed where the homeless congregate? It is said that this is done to reduce the rate of crime in these densely homeless populated areas. Through crime prevention, through environmental design techniques, lighting is increased in areas that are usually darker. The removal of graffiti on buildings promote the sense that the area is highly watched. And where buildings are built and where their windows are placed offer a higher rate of visibility, which all have been shown to prevent the rate of crimes. Anti-homeless architecture is considered under this. Statistics through the Justice Bureau does say that homeless with mental illness are at a higher rate of potential to commit crime. That is how they tie this anti-homeless architecture into this environmental design. These designs are used to further displace the homeless population through the use of things like sleepless benches that cut out the middle to prevent people from laying down, or benches with armrest throughout so that somebody cannot sleep on the bench. Spikes placed under covered areas to prevent people from standing for long periods of time or sleeping. And blockers, which are usually large stone designs placed under covered areas. These designs are said to be installed to help communities, but in many ways, they're more harmful than they are good. So how are they harmful to communities? Well, the number one thing to look at is how much money it costs a community. According to Redefy.org, Iowa City spent $150,000 on anti-sleeping benches alone. MTA says that through the Enhanced Solution Initiative in New York, which was given a $74 million budget, a large undisclosed chunk of that money was used in anti-homeless architecture. Santa Cruz spent $1,000 per speaker placed under bridges throughout the city to prevent homeless people from sleeping under the bridges by playing high-pitched sounds through the speakers. These designs, though, are off-putting to more than just the homeless population. For instance, people with physical disabilities would find it difficult to sit on the slanted benches or to find a place to sit at all because many cities have switched to using leaning bars instead. These designs are generally uncomfortable for people without disabilities as well if they want to sit for a longer period of time than 5 minutes. Dean Harvey, who is an architect who builds anti-homeless architecture, has even said that the designs are used to prevent antisocial behaviors. But even he says that these designs sometimes put off groups of people who are just trying to socialize, preventing even socially acceptable behaviors. Instead of spending all this money to displace the homeless even more, there are other things that we can do instead. Forcing the homeless out of society will never help them. The top thing we can do is provide funds for mental health services. SAMHSA says that 26% of the homeless population suffer from severe mental illness. Early intervention and treatment of mental health needs could help a large population of people stay in homes and get the help they need to prevent being homeless. Another large problem is a lack of affordable housing in many cities. Creating more affordable housing would help prevent homelessness in the first place. If we put these funds towards things like mental health services, affordable housing, and job training, we could prevent homeless instead of just displacing them. If all we do is focus on limiting the amount of homeless we have to see and interact with, all we're doing is playing into an out of sight, out of mind mentality. This mentality is harmful to many, but especially to the homeless population. Instead of spending money on architecture that is harmful to our communities and to people, the money should go towards helping the homeless and helping prevent homelessness in general.